In this wilderness, survival is measured in calories. Before the rivers freeze and the forests fall silent, every brown bear faces the same unforgiving equation: eat enough or perish. There is no backup plan, no second harvest. Only a narrow window when silver bodies surge upstream, carrying the fuel that will decide who lives through winter. Salmon are more than prey. They are concentrated energy, forged in the ocean and delivered inland like living reserves of fat. Each fish is packed with dense calories, the kind that can be transformed into thick layers beneath a bear's skin, and the bears know exactly where that energy hides. They do not waste effort on lean muscle. They tear first into the skin, rich with fat, and the rose-soft clusters of eggs loaded with nutrients. What looks brutal is precise. Every bite is strategic. Because winter here is not simply cold. It is months of darkness, snow, and sealed landscapes where nothing grows and little moves. A bear's survival depends on the armor it builds, now an invisible shield of stored fat that will sustain a slowing heart and a sleeping body. In these final weeks of abundance, hesitation is costly. Every missed catch is a thinner shield. Every successful strike is another layer between life and starvation. For most bears, the salmon run is a season of opportunity. For Luna, it becomes a test of endurance. She is a mother of 3, and every calorie she gathers must be divided 4 ways. The river is crowded with larger males, heavier, faster, willing to fight for the best fishing spots. When one of them charges too close to her cubs, Luna does not hesitate. She stands her ground. The clash is brief but violent. Teeth flash, bodies collide. She drives him back, but not without cost. A deep gash along her shoulder stiffens with every movement. Each swipe of her paw sends a pulse of pain through muscle already strained by hunger. Hunting demands strength and balance, yet both are slipping away. The river does not slow for the injured. Salmon surge past whether she is ready or not. Now every decision carries weight. If she risks another confrontation, she could lose more than blood. If she retreats, she surrenders the richest feeding grounds. Meanwhile, her cubs watch and wait, their small frames dependent on milk that depends entirely on her reserves. Winter is approaching, indifferent to her struggle. Without enough fat stored beneath her fur, she will not produce the nourishment her young require during months of hibernation. For Luna, survival is no longer just about building armor. It is about holding her family together as her own strength begins to fade. As Luna's injury slows her along the river, the coastline offers a different promise, one far larger than salmon. A dead whale has washed ashore. Its massive body lies against the gray sand like a fallen island, thick blubber sealed beneath cooling skin. For any bear, this is a fortune measured in fat. A single carcass can hold enough energy to transform a lean frame into winter armor within days. The scent carries for miles, and the bears answer. But abundance does not erase hierarchy. It sharpens it. Dominant males arrive first, towering and scarred, their size alone enough to silence challengers. They claim the whale with low warnings and explosive charges, carving away slabs of blubber, while others circle at a distance. Here, strength decides access. Here, the law is simple. The largest feed first, and often alone. The tension is more than hunger. Where food concentrates, so does competition for mates. Males clash in sudden bursts of violence, testing power and endurance. The whale becomes both banquet and battleground. Luna approaches only once. She studies the shifting mass of muscle and teeth, the volatile tempers, the unpredictable surges of aggression. One wrong step could leave her cubs exposed or worse, targeted. The calories are immense, almost unimaginable, but so is the risk. Slowly, she turns away. For Luna, survival is no longer about seizing every opportunity. It is about knowing which battles cannot be won and choosing her cubs over the feast. Turning from the whale means surrendering a fortune in fat, but Luna cannot afford another violent encounter. Instead, she leads her cubs down the open shoreline, where survival becomes quieter and far less rewarding. When the tide retreats, it exposes narrow bands of wet sand scattered with clams and mussels. Luna lowers her injured shoulder and begins to dig. Each scoop is deliberate, slower than it should be. Shells crack between her teeth, briny flesh swallowed in quick mouthfuls. The cubs mimic her, paws clumsy, attention drifting with every crashing wave. The calories here are modest. Shellfish can keep a bear alive, but they cannot build the thick reserves winter demands. This is maintenance, not preparation. A temporary solution stretched across uncertain days. And even here, danger lingers. Large males patrol the same coastline, drawn by the whale and by the scent of competitors. Luna remains alert, constantly repositioning her cubs away from open ground. The beach offers visibility but little protection. Then, a rogue surge rolls farther inland than the rest. One cub ventures too close to the water's edge. In an instant, the wave knocks it off balance and drags it sideways through churning foam. Luna lunges, heart racing, as the shoreline reminds her that hunger is not the only threat pressing in. The wave recedes, and Luna pulls her cub back onto solid ground. For a moment, the shoreline quiets, but far beyond the surf, another movement is already underway, one that has shaped this coast for thousands of years. Out in the open ocean, salmon begin their return. They have traveled nearly 2,000 miles through cold, shifting currents, feeding and growing strong. Now, an internal signal drives them inland, back toward the exact freshwater streams where their lives began. Guided by scent and instinct, they leave salt behind and push into river mouths, their bodies undergoing rapid transformation. Kidneys adjust, gills recalibrate. Chemistry shifts from ocean survival to freshwater endurance. As they swim upstream, their silver fades. Pigments drawn from their marine diet, especially astaxanthin, ignite beneath the skin. Reds deepen, backs darken. What was once camouflage in open water becomes a vivid signal of urgency and maturity. The journey is relentless. They surge against powerful currents, leap over rock barriers, and crowd through narrow channels where bears, eagles, and wolves wait. Many will not finish the ascent. Jaws snap, talons strike. The river claims the exhausted. Yet they continue, because their mission is singular, to spawn in the gravel beds of their birthplace. In doing so, they carry the ocean's energy, inland fuel that will soon determine whether Luna and her cubs endure the winter ahead. As the salmon flood into the river mouths, the coastline transforms almost overnight. What was once scattered opportunity becomes concentrated abundance. Luna smells it before she sees it, the dense, metallic scent of fish packed tight in shallow water. Bears converge from every direction. At the narrow estuaries where current slows, the best fishing positions are limited. Large males wade into the strongest flow and claim the deepest channels. Younger bears linger at the edges, watching for openings. Tension ripples through the crowd. A misplaced step, a stolen catch, and the river erupts in splashes and warning roars. But when the salmon run peaks, something shifts. The water churns silver and red. Fish are so numerous that precision replaces desperation. Luna plants herself along a side channel and waits. When she strikes, it is efficient. She flips the salmon onto the gravel and tears first into the skin and roe, consuming the richest fat while leaving much of the muscle behind. Nothing is wasted for long. Wolves hover beyond the tree line, slipping in to drag away abandoned carcasses. Gulls circle overhead. Even smaller scavengers feed on what remains. The river distributes energy outward in widening circles. Beside her, Luna's cubs practice. They swipe too early, miss often, stumble in the current. But each failed attempt is a lesson. In this crowded river, survival is being taught in real time. As Luna and her cubs grow stronger along the river, the salmon's final act begins beneath the surface. Females search for shallow gravel beds where current flows clean and cold. With powerful sweeps of their tails, they carve shallow depressions called reds. Males press close, bodies scarred from the journey, colors now deep crimson. In brief, urgent moments, eggs and milt are released into the moving water. Life begins in a cloud of silt and instinct. Then the strength that carried them thousands of miles fades. Having spent every reserve on migration and reproduction, the salmon weaken rapidly. Fins fray, scales dull. One by one, they drift downstream or settle along the banks. Within days, their bodies break apart, returning nutrients to the river and forest. Beneath the gravel, the eggs remain. For 30 to 40 days, depending on temperature, embryos develop in darkness, sustained by their yolk. Above them, bears feed, wolves drag carcasses into the trees, and scavengers scatter fragments into the soil. Nitrogen from the ocean seeps into roots and leaves. The salmon die, but nothing ends. Their sacrifice becomes fertilizer, flesh, and future runs yet to come, fueling Luna, her cubs, and the vast living network that depends on their return. As the last salmon carcasses fade into bone and river silt, the season turns. Luna's body has changed. Weeks of relentless feeding have layered thick fat beneath her fur, insulating muscle and storing the energy she and her cubs will soon depend on. The cubs, once unsteady in the current, now move with more confidence, their frames rounded by abundance. When the first hard frost settles along the riverbank, Luna leads them inland toward higher ground. There, beneath tangled roots and wind-fallen timber, she selects a den site. Snow will soon seal the entrance. Inside, her breathing will slow, heart rate dropping as winter tightens its grip on the forest. For months, she will not hunt. The reserves built from salmon will sustain her milk and the quiet growth of her young. For now, they have enough. But the rhythm of this coast is never guaranteed. Ocean temperatures shift. River levels change. A poor salmon run can ripple outward through every layer of the ecosystem. If fewer fish return next year, there will be less fat to store, fewer margins for injury or error. As snow buries the shoreline, one question remains suspended in the silence. If the salmon falter, will Luna's family endure the winter after this one? Winter closes in. Beneath the snow, Luna and her cubs sleep on the energy the salmon carried from the sea. Their survival is written in fat, in instinct, in timing. But next year, the river may rise with abundance or return nearly empty. In this wilderness, nothing is guaranteed. If you want to keep exploring the fragile balance that holds entire ecosystems together, subscribe and step back into the wild.